Hi, guys, and welcome to the third episode of Spiritual Void podcast. Today we have drumroll Sonia Sage from UK Spiritual Hour. So, Sonia is also my healer, and we have been on a journey, very awesome journey, very painful journey, but then very good journey at the same time. So Sonia really knows well what spiritual void is, and that's why I have her here. Because who is a better person to speak about this topic than her? Welcome, Sonia.
So much, Neringa. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. An honor, actually. So, as I did in the other episodes, I will just quickly read a definition on what spiritual void actually is. And today I am reading from the Encyclopedia of World Problem and Human Potential. Okay.
Ooh, that sounds, I'll have to check that one out.
So, different names for spiritual void actually could also be existential vacuum. Wow, okay, that's interesting. Meaninglessness of life, vacuum of belief. Well, these are very new, very new labels. I have never really heard of that. Individuals may arrive at the opinion that their life has no purpose or value, or that human life has no meaning, whether in the spiritual or existential terms. Causes for this may lie in the body: middle age crisis, the onset of debilitating old age, ill health, clinical depression, reaction to medication, alcohol, drugs, or other somatic agents, or they may lie in um, psychosomatic reactions from emotional shocks such as grief and catastrophic upheavals in personal life. The same negative viewpoint may be reached by some schools of reasoning or philosophies of nihilistic tendency, or may result from being a victim of the disasters of war or the mass human destruction. Persons who are isolated, for whom no one appears to care, um, and in whose lives love has no place, are also vulnerable to the devastating impression of living in a void, which may culminate in suicide in as its extreme result, or a listless and apathetic life at best, if not a mentally ill one. Persons experiencing a sense of void may be unsure of the reality of their own identity. They have a divided self, one part of which experiences something, the other part of which denies the experiences, and the experiencer as being unreal or meaningless.
Hmm.
Whoa, we did go there. Okay, that was quite heavy description,
Yeah.
and and yesterday's description with Angela, actually her own description with Angela, was that people strive to get to the void. So I was like, okay, yeah, we do
Hmm.
that too, right? So it's not just
Yeah.
a void that we get to after a really deep transformation, and which is very uncomfortable, which kind of what described in this description, which can also be a result of drug addictions, depression, and so forth. Okay, so Sonia, I would like you to share what spiritual void is for you personally, and what effect it had on your spiritual journey up until this
Yeah.
point.
Firstly, I just want to say I don't equate that description as the spiritual void. It has no resonance of the spiritual void for me. Um, I feel that is dark night of the soul, breakdown before the breakthrough. But
Okay,
not
yeah.
spiritual. And I see breakdown before the breakthrough also as very different to the spiritual void. For me, the spiritual void is the cosmic womb.
Mm.
And if we think of the energy of the cosmic womb, or even just the womb in general. The womb is this safe space. In the womb, there shouldn't be any kind of elements of it all going to despair. And I guess our so-called, and I'm going to say humanness in inverted commas, because the truth is we believe we're here being human, but we don't remember what it is to be truly human, which is not this experience that we're living in. So in our so-called humanness, we enter this space, and if we think that the womb, the cosmic womb, I suppose the quantum field kind of energy, it's dark, just as in we go up to space and it is dark and it is dense, yet at the same time there's all of these glittering stars in space bringing this beauty through. But what is there? And in that cosmic womb there is nothing, there is nobody, there is nowhere, yet there is everything, there is everybody, and there is everywhere. And we are there in this space with every single potential, I suppose, with the infinite potential that can be afforded to us. The thing is, that infinite potential means that nothing might come by, nothing may come our way. Yeah, we have this, and I guess in that sense of where those of us who maybe kind of are along the spiritual journey and have heard about the void, and we're there wanting to get to the void, yeah, if we got to the void and nothing was offered, because actually at this time you just need to be where you are and you actually need to expand into the potential that you're already in, there is no more to give you at this present time, we'd be absolutely outraged.
So disappointed. Where is the gifts?
Yeah, I've done all this work, I've done all this healing, I've shared absolutely everything. Why am I still here? Why isn't that? And that is the big issue when we get into the void. And just to give an example of myself, not that I was in an outraged energy at all, but I had done the biggest dark night of the soul, and I had done the breakdown to breakthrough many times over, and in truth have had a monumental kind of spiritual awakening and journey. And I got to the point where I manifested the greatest and biggest thing I could possibly manifest, and so quickly. So after all this, all the hit, I was going to say the trauma, but more than anything, that the healing, the lessons, the really coming to know thyself sort of energy, and then have been gifted with the manifestation of something that I'd been, in a sense, trying to bring about in my life for a good number of years. Yet when I really kind of, I suppose, when I was vibrating at the correct frequency that I could finally bring it in, it came through in 2 months. So I'm there sitting with this amazing, wonderful home. It was a beautiful home I've manifested. And I'm then in this space where I'm like, I don't know what I'm meant to be doing. I don't know how I feel. My business is, in a sense, not necessarily crashing, but imploding. And I've got this beautiful space that I now need to keep going, yet everything that's going to keep this place going. So I've received what I wanted, but everything, I know something's not right. So I'm in this energy, something's not quite right. And I remember knowing that everything would be okay, but not knowing what was about to come. And what was about to come was, because what I had truly manifested, take away the physical aspect, what I had truly set the intention to manifest was the absolute alignment with my highest timeline. And that is what the void space is. It is the space of, for me, I look at it as that space of stillness where you have to accept not knowing how, the what, the where's, the whens, and you actually do have to be very still. And something I said to a friend, and I've written it down, because when I said it, I said to her, you have to write that down for me. And I've written it down because he was like, you know, when you say something and you're like, oh my God, that's an absolute gem that's just come out of my mouth. Sometimes we have to be so still that we're not spiritually seeking, physically doing, emotionally consuming, or mentally overloading. And that is what the void is for us to be that still. So that energy of nothing, we have to be in that nothing energy, that 0 point even, to be able to receive and step into our infinite potential. The void brings through our infinite potential. And the void can take for ages. I feel that we're actually in the void space, we're not actually doing that much healing. We've already done it. And now we just have to be. We have to be, and I guess our humanness as well, or our false humanness, has us doing so much.
Yeah.
Working so hard. We feel we have to be constantly putting it out there and taking action and moving, and sometimes we just have to be so still, and it's in that stillness that the beauty comes.
And so, you know what I love what you reminded me of, I don't know when, because it's been a long journey between me and you, right? But when you said it's also spiritual to watch Netflix.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is that void space, right? Because it's like, we can't do nothing else but just chill and watch some nice,
chill, literally.
chill, you know, whether it's Lucifer, Grace and Frankie, you know, these are my favorite power animals, you know, and that is that stillness.
Yeah, absolutely. And funnily enough, I just say my first real experience of the void was 9 months, and it was like everything was there, yet nothing was there. And then as I shifted out the 9 months, and funnily enough, it was as the pandemic lockdowns happened, and within a couple of weeks of that, I was like, where everybody was kind of falling to shit, I was like, I'm on my highest timeline, and this is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
I've just been still for all this time, so I get what it's like, and everything was just coming into absolute just this alignment, and it was that alignment with my highest timeline.
Yeah.
And I'd say my second experience of the void was a much smaller amount of time, and it was towards the end of 2022. No, 2020. We're in 22. I'm timeline jumping everywhere. And what I did literally have to Netflix and chill for 7 weeks, because spirit took me out, so I couldn't walk. And in not being able to walk, I couldn't do my spiritual work, because I'm not going to work on people if I'm not feeling right. There was no point mentally going over it. What can you do about it? Emotionally, I was feeling fine emotionally, a bit, but yeah, physically in incredible pain. And it was at the end of that 7 weeks, I then received possibly one of my biggest downloads in terms of me and my abilities as a healer today. But I had to be that still to receive it and receive that new wave of infinite potential, because that infinite potential, as soon as you expand into it, there's more available. That void space, that cosmic womb is holding more available to drop down for you to expand, and you are expanding into it quicker and quicker. So you might have quicker, more regular periods in that void space, yet they're shorter.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the more often you receive that, it's actually, as we are talking, it's a really a gift once you understand the purpose of it. Because I remember, I think it was you who told me, like, I explained to you how I was feeling, and you was like, oh, that's a void. Because I was like, nothing is wrong, but something is wrong.
Yeah, yeah. That's
And
like, yeah, that is totally the void.
and I'm like, I don't want to do nothing. Like, sometimes even watching Netflix was hard work, because I'm
Yeah,
like, I just want to lay there and look at the ceiling, and that's hard enough. But nothing was wrong, really nothing. And yeah, and you brought me that understanding that actually, and you kept asking me, are you really resting? And I was like, what does she mean? Like, I am resting, I'm not doing anything, but my mind was
yeah.
doing things, because I was trying to figure it out. What the fuck was wrong with me?
This is the thing. This is what we do, isn't it? It's like we need to know the humanness. It's like, or the false human needs to know. We need to know what's going on. Why do I feel like this? Sometimes there's no reason at all. And we just have to accept,
Yeah.
let go and accept.
Yeah, and it's like Angela mentioned, I think, and also in the first episode with Amber, it's it's that masculine do. We are still trying to find that, in a not in a stillness, in a nothingness. And sometimes it gets dark, because feminine is dark, right? It's
Yeah.
wild. But it's actually nothing is wrong.
Yeah.
And even if it gets to that state where it's like, yeah, thoughts. It's a lot of thoughts, because I like what Amber said. It's like, when you are in that stillness, the collective consciousness can be, right, very present, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the
Yeah.
thoughts are coming and going, but it's like, that's why you think that something is wrong,
Yeah.
because
And,
it's busy in the head
yeah.
sometimes.
And it actually, interestingly, with you saying that and you saying Amber said that, because if we think about it, or the way I see it being that cosmic womb, if we then bring it to general womb space, that's where the walls of separation are held. And if we're then looking at the walls of separation, they are imprinted into the collective psyche.
Can
So
can I just can I
why
just
we
bring it? Can I
absolutely
just bring it to the earth, and please explain the listeners what walls of separation is,
okay. So
just quickly, so without going too deeply.
a quick definition. So within the womb, and this is just from just the way I see it. So this is, and at the same time, taken for anyone watching and listening, take and leave what resonates, or take what resonates, leave the rest. So if we think in terms of the sacral chakra, within the sacral chakra is the womb. But you know what we can, and for men, the etheric womb, let's say, because I don't want to leave the men out of it. And within the womb is we then have the pain body. Generally on the left side of the body, the pain body, and the pain body holds walls of separation. And there are 7 walls of separation, and I equate them to a different chakra. So starting with 1 relating to root, 2 to sacral, and so on. The first wall of separation is unworthiness. The second wall of separation is shame and guilt. The third is lack of trust and self-doubt. The fourth is abandonment and betrayal. The fifth is anger and rage. The sixth is fear, and the seventh is entrapment and enslavement. Now, if we're then looking at the energy of entrapment and enslavement, that's very collective energy in terms of the majority of humanity really being entrapped into this separation energy, a lot of polarity, this whole I suppose, energy that to be a success, to do well, to survive even, you have to be working so hard and doing the absolute most. So it kind of really, and then the pain body, it's the imprint of the pain body is within the collective psyche or within the psyche. And the psyche is the totality of our consciousness, the collective consciousness, our subconsciousness, our unconsciousness. So when we talk about the collective consciousness, it's it's always something quite dark and heavy that we've tapped into, rather than something nice and light and airy fairy, because the collective, the majority of the human collective, are very, unfortunately, low vibrational and not living these blissful lives and are struggling, and that's the energy that's there in the psyche. So yeah, I can see it being in that void space, that it is so easy where there is nothing going on, rather than us being like, nothing's going on, like let me just be nothing. Our minds go into overdrive. So hence why I said that mentally overloading as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are then really possibly tuning into, on a much deeper level, into that collective consciousness. And I guess that's then where the distraction before the miracle can come in.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you are in that state, like from personal experience, when I was after I have done my Boothful ceremonies, right? The third time was the pivotal time, because I have had my resurrection.
Yeah.
And what I did was go and get fucked up. I could not handle it. Like I was like, I can't do this, you know? And therefore I thought I was healed. I was like, okay, resurrection means I'm healed. 3 days it takes. It took 3 days for Jesus. It takes 3 days for me. You know? And then I gone and got high and got drunk. And then I got myself in a situation which has put me in this dark, void space where I literally had to just be choosing life or death.
Yeah.
You know, and that is the dark side of the void.
Because if you think about it, in that void, I see it, that void, the void isn't there, say, on a 3D level. The void, we're going into 7D energy. If you're able to reach the void and in that 7D energy, you've done a lot of work. You have it, hence why I say things like other bits and pieces, I see more of Dark Night of the Soul. But if you've reached there, you're in that great alignment with your life that you now have to, I suppose, show the universe that, yes, I've mastered non-attachment, I've mastered patience, I've mastered releasing expectations and letting go, because in that void space you have to be totally cool with the nothingness, and really recognize it should be quite really and truly a celebration space, because we should recognize that, wow, we've done, like, we've literally practically mastered. And I'm not saying, because mastery is a big one, but like, you've mastered the frequency that you was aiming for, or you've reached the frequency that you was aiming for, which is why you're able to go to that void space to wait for the next bit to happen. But the longer you're in, what's going? And I know what I was like when the first time I was really in that void space, where I had half of what I'd manifested and just didn't know what to do with myself. And every day I was saying, don't know what's going on, something's going on, but nothing's going on, and I don't know what to do. And I'd even be pacing the house and everything, so that mental overload. But if we could be like, just time to chill right now. Doesn't matter if nothing's taking place. It would be out of that void space quicker.
And I think
practice makes perfect with it.
I think what I'm realizing, because obviously this is a third conversation I'm having, right? And what I catch myself doing, and like I guess this is a good time to address, is not just myself, but I guess other people too. It's like it's such a thin line between dark night of the soul and the void. So what you just said about the celebration, I was like, I am feeling that, but at the same time, I want to ask you, could it not be that every dimension, like this is gonna blow up people's mind because like we going into the dimension chart. Every dimensional shift has the void. So would it not be interesting perspective to see like it's like if it's a celebration that every dimension, as you are on the threshold of going into a new dimension, has that celebration, that integration where you are just still and you are waiting for the next assignment.
Do you know what? Now you say that, see that definition you read out at the beginning, it's just kind of come to me that you could call it a void. You actually could call that a void, but not the, so I suppose where I see the void on a much higher dimension, 7D and above, I'm seeing that definition that is definitely not cosmic womb energy, but it is 4D. And I don't call for...
I did not hear that.
Oh, I said I see as, I'm seeing it as 4D. Mm-hmm. But I don't call 4D the void. I call it an abyss.
The abyss?
The abyss. The abyss of 4D. Because it can feel like the depths of despair in there and just going round and cycle after cycle. And I suppose it, in a sense, I mean, I think 4D is amazing personally, and it's where without 4D, funnily enough, if we're thinking again, looking at it in terms of a void energy, if we're looking at 4D, so many people avoid it.
I was just about to say, because everyone says, oh, so we are in 3D now and we're gonna jump on the fifth dimension. And you know what I really love, that what Matthias De Stefano said, because you brought him to us, and I have really listened to his podcast with someone, I can't remember.
Oh, I think I haven't listened to it, but I think I know who you mean.
Yeah, so they were talking about the dimensions and different dimensions, and he said, if you think that you are in the fifth dimension, or no, how did he say it? Oh, if you don't mention fourth dimension, this is me paraphrasing, by the way, I forgot. Literally, it just left my mind what he said. But along the lines of, if you're doing the work, but you're not really talking about the fourth dimension, and no, this is the point. I remember now. If you don't want to be here, if you don't want to be here on the third dimension on the earth, and you go like, I want to leave, I don't belong here, why did I come here? You are not in the fifth dimension.
No, of course. Of course.
If you're not doing the work.
Exactly. It's an absolute byproduct. It's not about us taking off. It's about us aligning with the timeline, and collectively, but even on an individual level, that is beautiful for us here on earth. And maybe, and I hope this doesn't come across in an ego way at all, but maybe the reason why I see the void as the cosmic womb as somewhere really beautiful is because that's the timeline that I'm on.
Yeah.
Whereas, and even down to like 4D, I personally think, I do think 4D is one of the most amazing parts of the journey, but it is bypassed. No one talks about it, yet you can't be living. And to be honest with you, even the majority of us in the spiritual community, even those of us who have been doing the work for years, we're not on a 5D timeline yet. We're still being affected. We're still kind of dipping into little bits of separation. How many times have we kind of thought, oh, for fuck's sake, lining up at the checkout in Tesco? Sorry, excuse my language. Do you know what I mean? How can we then claim to be on the, or got annoyed because one of your parents have annoyed you, or triggered
you? Know what? And I think like for me personally, like when I just started doing the shadow work, you know, when Stephen died, for those that doesn't know, it was 2019. I only just started to understand that, you know what, like I actually understand why I'm on the earth. Like, I mean, I did want to leave, obviously, because of my suicidal thoughts and whatnot, but I did start to like attempt to understand why I'm here, you know. And now I am seeing when I'm in duality, but I'm really acceptant of it, and I'm like, you know what, I came here for this, so I'm gonna enjoy this, you know, because when I get to unity and oneness, and I will not be able to judge people or myself, I'm not gonna be able to, you know, window shop in that kind of way, I will probably miss it because I didn't truly enjoy the experience, right? So I'm really just accepting the yin and yang of myself. Yeah, sometimes I can go a little bit of peace and be a little bit too, you know, yin. But then I'm like, okay, I did that, but it's okay, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's all about the acceptance.
Yeah, massively. Because otherwise we're being judgmental on ourselves even.
Yeah. And it's bypassing again.
Yeah. And I do feel on, I suppose, where we've kind of sort of speaking about dimensions and I guess, well, frequency comes into it. One of the things I'm coming to understand, and if anyone wants to correct me on this, obviously feel free, but definitely from my own personal experience, we do go through, and again, it is in that 4D journey, and I feel like the higher frequency of the 4D, rather than when we first step onto it, we go through this, we go through a period where our energy is increasingly sensitive, and we do have to protect ourselves, and we do have to stop doing loads of stuff that we do. But as we then shift into a higher state of consciousness, and with that comes that we're vibrating at a higher frequency, we can actually bring in quite a bit of what we left behind. And it's been in this energy where we recognize as well, or in a frequency where we recognize that we're actually starseed alchemists, where and actually that's a starseed alchemist, I think that's a term I've probably pinched off of Steve Noble. But in that starseed alchemist energy, you are able to kind of go into something that maybe is kind of a little bit dense, or is lower, is possibly even toxic.
Yeah.
Yet your frequency isn't being impacted by it in the way it was before. So you're not being affected. You can sit on that tube journey, and where you may have kind of come out of it like, oh my God, sort of a year ago, you're coming out of it and you're relatively unscathed. That kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely resonate with that.
It's like you need to be in that void space to be able to have that upgrade of energy. And if you're not being still, that upgrade can't come through. It's like it's trying to run after you, but you're running too far away from it without you realizing that you're running away, kind of thing.
Yeah. And here is when my next question will come in, and I will use myself as an example to open up this space. How your clients go through the void, and for me, Sonia has actually been the first healer ever, really, I think, to tell me to slow down. And I always mention this, if you notice, right? Because I'm like, it's just so bizarre. Like me slow down my healing journey, like what? But it was really it was really a humbling experience, since coming to heal with Sonia, because she was like, yeah, we're gonna do sessions like in like, what is it, like every 3 weeks. Sometimes it was every 4 weeks, and I was used to my sessions being like every week. Well, before you with Valerie, it was every 2 weeks, but still, I was like, like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was my speed, and it was really like fast. And yes, Sonia just kept reminding me, and she would check in and be like, no, it's not the time, we're gonna do it and this and this is so many weeks. And I was just like, and then I did something. I went on, well, I attracted someone who stole my healing that Sonia has done on me. It was like the greatest healing. Like, I'm not gonna share the details, but it was phenomenal.
It wasn't
And
so. Remember, we allow these things to happen.
yeah, yeah. And then I basically gave all that healing away to this man that just popped up, to be another part of my lesson, and that slowed me down even more. I was
But that was a really big lesson for me as well.
yeah.
I feel that was a big lesson for me, like seeing how the energy works, how light the frequency is, and how things can unanchor so quickly. So
Yeah.
that was a good lesson for me as well.
It
Definitely.
was, yeah. And I guess, like, in some sense, I got so humbled to really like learn to integrate. So maybe it wasn't necessarily a void, or maybe it was, but maybe I didn't see it like that. I can't really remember now. So it would be unfair to say that it was a void. But that space, the time, the duration of the time to integrate all the healing, was so necessary. And yeah, sometimes I did feel like, oh, do I have to go back to get another healing? Because like, I don't like this feeling, even though nothing was happening.
It's
Uh,
not a bed of roses, unfortunately. Some bits of it is, but yeah, not all of it.
yeah. So tell me a little bit more then, how your clients go through that spiritual void space, how you handling it, and yeah.
I'm gonna say for everybody it's different, and I think as well, just within this session, coming to the understanding that actually I need to, with what you said about maybe each level is a void space. This then makes sense. And I'm kind of literally processing this at the moment. So whatever I would have said before, I've sort of shifted on. And so, yeah, I guess it depends what stage of void that they are at. So whether it be 1D in terms of energy, 2D in terms of walls of separation. So whatever stage they're at, it's gonna.
Can
And
you
that's.
just repeat what was 1D, please? Because the sound cut off.
Oh, I said, like, say your root chakra.
Uh-huh.
A root chakra may be alignment. And I suppose actually that's possibly maybe one of the first kind of elements in terms of our own sort of awakenings that we sort of go through. So yeah, I'm actually looking at this at a really different perspective now to before I came on this session. But yeah, for everybody it's very, very different. For some people it may be very long, and they feel like they're getting nowhere. And actually, as I've said that, I'm kind of thinking of, and obviously I'm not gonna give any names, but I feel like for quite a few of my clients at the moment, we've actually reached this stage where we've been doing the healing work for a really long time. And I do give, as you've said, I mean, for lots of people, I give 6 to 8 weeks breaks, because the work has to integrate. But it really interestingly, it's kind of, I'm seeing it that maybe many of them have actually been in a void space the whole way through the healing. And when now it feels like, whoa, now this is the real work beginning to line up. Now that alignment is really truly coming in. I think part with the spiritual journey is to not feel, especially if you're in a lower frequency void space. So say a shift, say a 4D void space, which can be exceptionally long and really dark, really heavy, real dark night of the soul kind of stuff. Yeah, definitely with that 4D energy. It's not to feel that you have to go it alone. And so many people in the spiritual, who are on their spiritual journeys, who are awakening, they go it alone. And for me, that's one of the things, like I had a little crystal shop. I had my close group of friends were on this journey with me initially. And I then had a crystal shop. So I had lots of people, I suppose a little hub in that sense, but so many people would come in and say, I feel so alone. So even healers and that are feeling really isolated, where they don't know anybody else on this journey.
Yeah.
So definitely find community. Find community. Don't isolate yourself. When it's feeling really shit, reach out to those that love you. Or even if you're not sure if they love you, still reach out anyway, because there will always be someone there with an open heart.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, I suppose, for me. One of which, I suppose, Neringa, one of the things I do say to my clients is, especially if it is feeling so low, please just reach out. Do not feel any way about reaching out to me if it's feeling that bad, if it is feeling that low, because it's,
and you know what, I have
people there for me when I was at those points, and if I can do that for someone else, it's sometimes the favor isn't necessarily paid back to that person, but you can pay it back to someone else who needs it. So if I'm able to do that, I would.
I think I have said this to you many times before, and I will repeat it yet again. Sonia is so absolutely amazing at holding space after the healings.
Thank you.
And it's even when I wasn't even healing with you, like the amount of support you have given me, I was like, whoa, like I really felt loved and cared for. And then with the healings, obviously we had our own journey. I think I became a little codependent. So then 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 Sonia knew how to,
Oh, you didn't.
help me out a little bit. But it was really,
you turning up a day early.
oh my God, that was hilarious. I really wanted my healing. Oh my God, that's so funny. Was that not the day when I actually gave my healing away to the man? Maybe
Oh God, I don't remember. Maybe it was.
it was. It was.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my! And if you'd come on the actual day, it wouldn't have happened. But anyway, we can't look at things like that. Like,
Yeah. It was meant to be the main.
It was meant to happen. We were both meant to learn from it.
And maybe he's actually on his spiritual journey right now. You know what I mean? Because of that.
Yeah.
So I'm fine. I'm fine with that now. But yeah, in regards to that, just to reiterate that fact, it's it's so important to have someone like you, Sonia, who really is there for people, you know, and you're really not expecting anything in return. Like I have never felt that, and I never felt like, oh my God, you know, oh Sonia spoke to me for 20 minutes voice notes, so I'm gonna have to reimburse her. You know what I mean? Like it was just so genuine and so full of love, and it's just always so beautiful.
But just to the people listening, I don't have the capacity to go. Neringa, I do. But don't call me.
It's not often. It's one in a blue moon. And I think the longest voice note from you I have had was it about 20 minutes?
This is the thing. Once I start, I can't shut up. So you're not even asking. You're like asking for like a 1 minute answer, and I just not stop.
But it's cool. It's cool. Once in a while, that's great. But what I love is the fast forwarding of WhatsApp WhatsApp voice notes now, so I can do it on like what is it, like speed 2, and I was like, okay, 10 minutes was good.
I'm terrible for long voice notes. Terrible.
Oh, but it's
if I didn't have one of the things I ask each morning, my guides, is how am I to serve?
Mm-hmm.
How am I to serve, and also how am I to lead? In service, I see that I'm leading in service, and in service I lead, or however I see it kind of in my head, and however I'm meant to integrate it and embody it. So if I've got the capacity, I will give. If I haven't got the capacity, I'll say so.
Yeah.
And that, because this month I don't so much have the capacity for, because it's so busy.
It's like PS people, do not expect too much when you come to the healings. I mean, aftercare.
But no, I do. Yeah, and especially with my clients. Otherwise, it can feel like you're just out there. And of course, you do have to find your own way. But at the same time, it can be like it's big healing work.
Yeah.
It's big alignments. It's big transitions. Sort of be there, and there's nothing worse than having someone come back and be like, "Oh, I was really bad this month," and you're just like, "Oh, yeah, no, I can't. My heart can't take it." It's like,
yeah, it's work in itself. The integration, and the support is everything. So yeah, thank you so much, and you're supporting me right now as I'm trying to get back out there.
Thank you so much for asking me. I'm so grateful, and yeah, I hope I haven't rambled on too much.
No, it was beautiful. It was. It's like whatever comes up during the podcast is whatever needs to come up. And yesterday we were talking about the body and Pilates and the void, and it was really interesting. It was really interesting how we tied that in. I was a little bit like struggling to tie it in with the body, but Angela explained it really nicely, and she corrected me in certain points where I really didn't understand, or actually I was confusing the space of Dark Night of a Soul, I guess, within the body, within the movement to the void. So it was really interesting, and we will
that
also.
Sounds so interesting. Really interesting to watch that. Yeah, it's so interesting to kind of have that one topic in so many different perspectives.
Yeah.
and learning space for all of us. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing and listening to what everyone else has to say.
And there is one that I'm super excited about. Well, not one, maybe there will be a few, because I'm open. If you know people, you can suggest
Yeah,
them, and I will have a conversation with them. Ayurveda will be another one.
yeah, yeah. That
So
would be really interesting to hear as
yeah.
well.
So then yoga and dance, music, everything. Writing, actually, our publisher and co-author Dawn will be coming on as well,
Yeah,
to talk about spiritual void from a writer's point of view. It's gonna
yeah.
be epic.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to this series.
It's so exciting. I'm so happy. Awesome. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom, and I'm super honored. And
Thank you so
thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Neringa.
Bye.